I'm a little sick right now. Excuse me. I'm about to show up for work. It's a 7-Eleven right now and 7:30 work call. So that car, staring at a group of guys just bullshit. That car is having a bunch of problems. That fucking RX-7 I'm dicking with, that's all over my channel. It was real lean on main circuit, so I put the F2 circuit Mosin tubes in it from my IDF I bought because I want to put an IDF in it. I've been watching a lot of Easy Jeezy videos, and he's about air-cooled Volkswagen Bugs, you know, the old 60 was one. And they use, he has like a bunch of dual IDF setups for those. You know, since those are split heads pretty much, you know, you got two heads on each side, it's a boxer motor, it's air-cooled. You can run dual IDFs on it, and he says that's more streetable of a carburetor than the IDAs, and I have an IDA. He says that the IDAs are more of an on-off carburetor, and I can kind of see that because I have a little bit of an issue coming off of the idle circuit onto the main circuit. It wants to fumble a little bit. I did take off the I had the you know, fuel tank, and then between the fuel tank and the carburetor, you got your fuel pump, and then right after your fuel pump, you'll have a fuel filter. Then right before your carburetor, I had like a little you know, gasoline. Since it's only a couple pounds of pressure, it could take it, but I had a gasoline lawnmower type fuel filter there. Well, that's completely plugged, so I just was like, man, fuck it, and took that off. Was able to get that hose stretched over that blank fitting and tightened down well enough so it wouldn't leak. And I had bought, those are 70 idle jets, and I bought 80s because I thought the idle was lean. I thought, you never can tell unless you got widebands, which I did buy. I did have a chance to go get I think it was Innovate. It was a dual sensor 1 gauge air fuel ratio, you know, wideband setup. I ended up picking that up because it was on sale for like a little bit less than $300. So I ended up picking that up. I got to wire that in. And so the fuel filter was plugged, so I took it out and plugged it back in. Ended up plugging my 80s in, and now I was driving it yesterday before work, and it was running fine, really, honestly. You could tell it was getting a little bit too much fuel on the idle, so I'm probably gonna have to go back to the 70 because it was acting like it was under acceleration load when it was just idling. You know, it had so much fuel in it, it popped pretty hard, like it was getting enough fuel that it was pulling horsepower through the motor when it's really just trying to idle, you know. It's not trying to, you know, when you don't need any horsepower produced other than just enough to turn the motor. So, but it was running, and it was running all right, running pretty good, except for that little hesitation in the tip end between the two. It's probably because it doesn't have enough progression holes. Like Easy Jeezy said, it's more of an on-off. And if I got on it and stayed on it, like just whapped it, it was fine. But excuse me, a military convoy is coming through. Oh, that would suck if that pallet had hit my truck. Anyways, Baby Yaga got an M77 or 777 there. We got a smaller fuel can there. Anyways, I got down from my house all the way to the Red Lobster, which is a good, 3 miles? And, well, that's a weird fucking thing. I don't even know what the fuck that is. It's a 4-wheeled, like, buffalo type looking thing with the crow's, or the gunner's hatch at the top of it. Anyways, I got looking, well, I made it up to the Chef India, and then it just fucking just died. Both rotors just died. The one rotor that's kind of iffish, that makes it lap like that, cut out, and then one rotor was was staying in it for a little bit, and then just dead. So then I let it cool and tried starting it a little bit, and it's starting to run on both rotors. After trying to start it, I'd figured out to just fucking let it sit, and then it cooled a little bit. Let's try to start it. Start and run, and eventually, like 5 times later, I got back to the house 3 miles, or whatnot. Fucking bullshit. I didn't even get it out on the fucking, tollway. The 44 here. And, it was puking on me. So, I'm really frustrated with it. I seriously think that it has, one of the apex seals is cracked in it. Not necessarily like chunked out yet, but it's like got a split in it, probably from the detonation I put through it when I was stabbing a new distributor in there, and it was in a panicked hurry pretty much, because I was like last day before deployment type stuff, and I wanted to get it running before deployment, but because I was being stubborn. So I've got the streetcar motors, which I'm calling that the streetcar Dorothy. Might as well call it fucking Dorothy, because it's leading me down a yellow brick road. I've got Dorothy's original motor, and then my race car, the Mad Cow's fucking, because it's painted up like a cow. I got the Mad Cow's motor in it now, and because the Dorothy's motor fucking took and popped a coolant seal, and that's a completely stock motor, but it's got 144,000 miles on it, because that's what the odometer reads on Dorothy. So I've got to sit and basically what I would like to do, since the Mad Cow's engine is, I think, already been ported a little bit, suspect it, I don't know until I get into it, but I think that's what he said. He ported it just a bit because he was trying to keep up with the Houston racing for Spec RX-7, and he was slow. And he's like, they don't really inspect you too close unless you start winning races. They'll make you do your shit, and he never really won. I have the logbooks for the Mad Cow. It's won one or two races. I think it's won one, and then it's got second in like 2. I'd have to look again. But yeah. So I would like to take both those motors apart, and the Mad Cow's engine, I want to get a bridge port from Rotary Specialist into it. I want to send the plates off to get lapped, and then his CNC program on the biggest port that I can get. Well, I honestly I'd like just to get just a mild street port and then a bridge port to match the whole length, and then be done. I don't need a bunch of power. I just want that sound. It'd be kind of cool. And then the streetcar, the Dorothy's original motor, I just want to take it apart and rebuild it. And honestly, if I rebuild it, I'd like to rebuild the coolant seal. And if I rebuild it, I want to inspect it. And if it's worth, if the housings are in good enough shape, excuse me. If the housings are in good enough shape, I would like to I have a set of carbon apex seals I'd like to put into it. But I doubt they're in good enough shape, being 144,000 miles. So what I'm going to end up probably doing is just dunking the money into new rotor housings. I have a set of decent rotor housings that I could stick on steel seals, and I know it'd be fine. But, yeah, I'd like to run carbon so I can zing my motor out and lock a bearing up instead of scratch the shit out of, instead of chunking a fucking apex seal or bouncing apex seals off of housings. Yeah, I got the parts to do, I'm gonna wrap this up shortly. I got the parts to do most of a 13B peripheral port of used parts. I've got enough motors tore apart from 12As and enough malarkey. I got enough malarkey around for 12As that I probably could put me a decent and junk motor together and run the piss out of it and not fucking worry about it, because it's all used shittier parts. So yeah. Anyways, that's my rant for the fucking day. None of my views are viewed by the Army. I just work for them. It's a great place to work. But yeah.